so many changes happened recently. More and more countries putting things on ease in terms of travel, protocols. That's kind of changing the habits and the trends we've been seeing over the time during COVID time. People are back in the move. We see demand. We see ahead planning happening, which is not the usual thing for this part of the world, as you know, being a very last-minute market normally. Now we're seeing people actually looking for travel options late June, beginning of July. We're seeing families again coming back. So that was kind of shrinked over the COVID days. This time this year, again we're seeing 4 travelers, 5 travelers. We see a mix between adults and children. So that's back in the move at the moment. We're seeing sort of long destinations, not yet multi-destination as it used to be before, but at least long-haul destinations are back in on demand at the moment from the GCC. So those are like the key things I would say that we're seeing at least on the flight side. Now, on the hotel side, still alternative accommodation is kind of leading. On top of that, you get the usual 5 stars, 4 stars of preferred selection of hotels. Pricing are higher in general for both flights and hotels. So I would say air tickets price is still at the nearly 10 to 11% higher than pre-COVID. Something to do with capacity, something to do with the oil price. That's all kind of expected to change, with more capacity being introduced, with more connections being in action. We expect that to correct a little bit and go back into around the 5% increase. Hotels, it's always depends on the demand, but with the kind of situation we're expecting a high average booking value during the summertime. So basically we're talking Q3 to early Q4 in general. Expo kind of welcomed the whole world by all means. So we started seeing more traffic coming from several countries in Europe that normally they were not probably a top source market to the UAE. So usually you get the UK, France, Germany, kind of the topping the source markets. We've seen more and more of people coming from Eastern European countries. So many from Romania, so many from Hungary, and a good noticeable increase in the number of inbound coming out of Scandinavian countries. So that sort of changed a little bit to the top list of source markets coming out of Europe. Asia was unfortunately still kind of closed because traveling back to Asia was difficult. So we didn't see that yet, but we're expecting good bounce back to come from those markets. I think where Dubai benefited quite a lot is, especially in the last couple of months where Australia opened up again, is noticeable increased number of stopovers happened in Dubai. Whether from the States, people traveling to the other side of the world, or basically people coming from Australia, New Zealand, transiting to Europe, and those are actually due to the fact that Expo is happening. They decided to spend a day or two in Dubai and go and experience the Expo 2020. I think that played a big role, and we're expecting the same to happen around the World Cup. We already see demand in place. We already see people searching and looking for opportunities, waiting to understand how the hotels scheme will be looking like in Qatar during that time, because until now it's kind of blurry, I would say, to be cleared out how the regulations will be going in terms of hotels booking around the period of the World Cup. But the demand is there. Everybody is trying to search and understand and figure out where to stay, what to do. all this stuff. So that's definitely gonna make a big difference. Saudi, with all the efforts happening in Saudi, I think, yeah, so many visitation happen in Saudi. Top source markets are the GCC markets, but so many inbound coming from European countries, from the US, very noticeable. And when it comes to Saudi, every market is a new market now, because it just opened up the tourism vertical, and it's definitely on the growth at the moment. Besides, the domestic travel growth that we've been seeing and witnessing over the past 18 months in the kingdom. To the UAE specifically, I think for us being the largest marketplace for meta search in the region, UAE is the fastest market in terms of recovery for us, and it's the fastest growing market at the moment. So more people are feeling more comfortable booking online. So the trend is shifting online for sure. Be it a meta search or be it via direct OTA booking, but yeah, travelers from the UAE are definitely started to show more interest in figuring out their travel plans online. That doesn't mean the offline game is over. No, it's still in the mix, still in place. You have like 2 of the top 5 airlines operating out of the UAE, talking Etihad and Emirates, and those are also getting a fair bit of direct online and offline bookings. But in general, the trends happening now from the UAE is, again, people are hungry to travel again, and we're expecting sort of a big summer this year, between expats traveling back home or people going for tourism, or UAE locals re-traveling with their families to several places. We started seeing bookings. Yes, the trend is like more ahead of time bookings, more lead time in a way or another. Longer stays. That's the other thing. So instead of an average of 6 nights, now it's like average of 10 nights for per booking. So it's kind of shifting around like 30-40% more nights in per trip. So that's pretty much how the UAE is looking like from our lens, at least. In the last 2 weeks, actually, we started seeing like loads of demand to the UAE, mainly from the GCC countries. Secondly, from European countries and the Americans, and a fair bit of the Asian countries as well. So yeah, definitely Expo being at the last 2 weeks of it is kind of creating demand. Expo just announced that they went over the 17 million visits in March, and they recorded 1.4 million visitors in 1 week only, which is like great. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So I think that's gonna keep trending up, and we're seeing it. Hotels are super busy. Average room rate increased at least by 30 to 35% in general in Dubai. So yeah, definitely it's playing a big role. The fact that it's the last chance to come to Expo, and came perfectly timed with the lifting of the restrictions that you just mentioned. So in general, the world is opening up, and Dubai is kind of welcoming and hosting the biggest event in the world. So everybody's trying to get the chance and make a visit to it. So yeah, and post that, everybody's expecting like Ramadan is going to be around the corner, and then Eid holiday with lots of activities and events and concerts and things to do around the Eid holiday. Dubai is planning to put together, and I think that's going to create another wave of demand right before the summer vacations, where basically it's another chance for people to travel in and out the country. So I think Dubai proved over the course of COVID time that it kind of set an example for how destinations around the world would treat such an unexpected situation or crisis. I think still setting example for post-pandemic and post the crisis, how the dynamics went back into much more even aggressive manner from how it used to be, and how it's kind of leading the shore again, creating all of these demand for the destination. We're definitely seeing lots of demand on international travel for both, actually. So many expats are, going back home during the spring break, and it's the first time ever kind of spring break comes around the first week of Ramadan, where basically so many of the Arab experts, Muslim experts, decided to go back home and enjoy the first week of Ramadan being with their families and extended families. So that's kind of created a nice travel demand, and we see that. We see destinations like Cairo, Amman, Baghdad, even a few destinations within India are kind of trending up and taking the lead at the moment. Plus, we see lots of London, Zurich, Paris, and Rome, sort of between leisure and also expats going back to meet with their families. Now the other wave is going to be 4 weeks after that. So when Eid holiday comes in place, and there we're basically, as you said, it's going to be a good chance, a good mix, because it's going to be shorter holidays. It's going to be a good mix between staycations and short trips. So we're seeing already demand on the staycation side, and we see especially from Saudi and UAE. So we're seeing lots of Ras Al Khaimah, we're seeing lots of Yas Island demand happening, and we're also seeing we're seeing the nearby destinations kind of getting into a trend again, especially with the weather is going to be around that time getting warmer in most of the places, and it's kind of the springtime where we're seeing lots of Azerbaijan, Georgia, and many of the other nearby destinations. Oman is kind of getting the lead in terms of the interest of the travelers from this part of the world. So yeah, it's again a couple of good occasions coming together right before the long summer holiday. So yeah, that will definitely give a nice push for the entire activity of the travel business in general. We compare searches for like the time of November, October, November, December, Q4 this year versus what we used to see around the same time pre-COVID around 2019. So we're talking about 20+% increase from now. What we expect like 100+% increase, definitely. People are searching. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen around that time. As I mentioned earlier, that the hotels booking scene is a bit tricky yet. So until today, if you want to book a hotel in Doha around that time, it's not so feasible how to do it. But that's going to be cleared out very soon. And once that happens, we're expecting like a huge wave of demand for those destinations. So for Doha as a destination, sorry. So in general, yeah, the World Cup globally every time happens, around the world, it creates lots and lots and lots of demand, lots of traffic in and out the country. And I don't see any reason that Qatar 2022 World Cup is gonna have any exception of that. So it's gonna most probably be one of the largest and one of the most visited World Cup globally. And yeah, we're seeing lots of demand, or at least lots of people searching and trying to look for information, trying to find how to buy a ticket, how to secure your match ticket, how to get into the country, outside the country, what are the visa protocols. So many people are asking us, so many people are talking about it, so many people are waiting for the moment that the hotels booking platforms are ready to sell hotel rooms. So yeah, we're definitely expecting millions of visitors to Doha around the time of the World Cup. Few things kind of disappeared during COVID, right? So long haul kind of got in limitation. Multi-destination kind of disappeared. Family travel pretty much kind of shrink down as well. Those kind of business travel obviously was very, very much impacted. Leisure, like business leisure mix kind of got extremely impacted by COVID. All of that is changing with the with the changes happening now. So we are seeing long haul on demand again. I would say, if you compare 2022 to 2021, like it's around 80%, 80 plus percent in terms of demand change happening between now and how it was before, especially on the long haul. Do we see multi-destination in the mix? Yeah, we see it. It's maybe still early days to come out with something like solid around it, but at least we're close to net 10% increase in terms of multi-destination. We're talking with really low bases because people didn't have the option to go multi-destinations for like at least 18 months. Are we seeing families in the demand? Yeah, that's a very rising segment, and we see it. Business travel, I think it's gonna be the slowest one to recover, even though I would say we are at probably close to 30% of how it used to be in 2019. So I think it's kind of exceeding expectations. People didn't expect that to come at all. So the business travel is kind of coming back slowly, but it's on the recovery. So people are back into the, everybody spoke about a new normal or new norm in general. I think people are kind of, going back to the old norm, but slowly and gradually, and in much more well-planned manner, I would say this time. So ahead of time, getting to understand exactly what are the protocols, what do they have to do, monitoring the number of cases in the country they're going to. These kind of stuff are still in the consideration of people, but in general, travelers are back in the move for various reasons, and we're going to see all of those segments kind of growing over the rest of 2022 for sure.